Our next guest is distinguished North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer, who hopefully can fill us in on where we stand. Mr. Cramer, welcome back. As always, sir, it's a pleasure. Let me just start with this thought that some of your colleagues have said to me in private conversations. You have a bipartisan bill from the Environment and Public Works Committee. It was shepherded by Mr. Barrasso, perhaps yourself. I believe Shelley Moore Capito is now the chairperson of that.
That's right. That
was bipartisan. It was pretty good. I remember looking at it when I was in the White House. What do you think? Could that be the basis for a new deal?
Well, Larry, I think it serves as a perfect foundation because not only did it pass with bipartisan support, it passed unanimously out of the committee, which means the ranking Democrat at the time is now the chairman of the committee, Tom Carper. Good, solid guy, reasonable person, prone to compromise and finding common ground. So I think it serves as a great foundation for any highway bill, any transportation infrastructure bill, for sure.
So, Senator, is my quick summary of the meeting with President Biden more or less correct in your view? I mean, I'm told that, Romney and Hoeven and some others put their ideas on the table for a more traditional infrastructure package. It was a friendly meeting, but apparently the president pushed back on it.
I think every meeting that Republican members have had with the president has been a friendly meeting, cordial, attentive, and then basically ignored. And what I sense, Larry, is that the Democrats have all the levers of power, and they're not going to waste 1 second on negotiating with Republicans if they can help it. However, 50 senators is not much of a majority for them, and so they're forced to work with people like Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, who are quite reasonable and want to work across the aisle. So the good news is that on the EPW committee, and I happen to chair the subcommittee on transportation and infrastructure, rather the ranking Republican on that subcommittee, we've had 2 hearings already, one dealing with the Highway Trust Fund, and as you know, that's a declining source of revenue, and we can talk about taxes, and then just another one. Really both sort of on the same topic. The other one is more on states and local communities and their role in it, because you rightfully point out that while we have a national infrastructure, a federal highway system, it is the states, really. It's the states that carry all of that out within each of their states. So there's a lot to cover, but revenue is an important part of it, Larry.
Well, okay, I didn't mention bonding, local bonding, state and local bonding. That's a possibility. Right. That's traditional for infrastructure. Right. What do you think of this idea? There's a lot of unused, I mean, there may be $1 trillion of unspent stimulus bills. And it was suggested to me by one of your colleagues that, that money could be repurposed into an infrastructure bill, and therefore you wouldn't have to jack up every business tax known to mankind and wreck our economy and wreck our competitiveness. What about repurposing these unspent stimmy funds?
Well, I can't say that all 50 Republican senators would support that idea, but a vast majority of them would. I certainly would. Larry, I mean, if you wanted to repurpose $1 trillion of already appropriated money that is appropriated for stimulating the economy, I can't think of a better way to spend it than to stimulate the economy with an asset that has as its primary purpose the movement of the entire economy of our country. And so that's important for consumers as well as the marketers. It's important for oil, gas, manufactured products, food products, agricultural products, people. No, I think that'd be a great way to do it without having to raise taxes, and that would send an incredible signal to the marketplace. I think it would attract investment. But you make another important point in your monologue there about the regulatory side of this as well. We can make that money go a lot further if we streamline the regulatory process so that it doesn't take 4, 5, 8, 10 years just to permit the building of a new highway.
Right. Permitting, Kevin. That you are so right. The whole business of NEPA permitting, we worked on that together.
Yes,
it should be written into law, if you ask me. It was not. The other stuff is the social welfare stuff. I just can't believe that's going to pass. And the other one is everything's going to be unionized under this bill. That's in the fine print, but it's worth considering.
Well, sure, I get that. And again, those are state issues as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to do a big transportation bill, you need two really important things. First of all, you need the federal dollar, the accumulation of federal tax opportunity. But then you have to give that right to the states to spend the money in the best way and most efficient way that they know how in their states. And each state has a different culture. They have different right to work laws. They have different union laws. They have different regulatory rules. But at the end of the day, you have to have a formula that recognizes you can't reserve a few hundred miles in the middle of the country for interstate to be gravel. You can't have the pavement end in Minneapolis and pick it up again in Seattle. You need to get that wheat from North Dakota to become pasta in Manhattan.
Oh, I love that.
That takes a good system.
I actually love the idea of pasta in Manhattan from the wheat fields of America. That is a wonderful concept. Senator, I know your time is scarce. One last quick one. Please tell me that the Republican Senate GOP conference is not going to endorse earmarks. Please tell me.
Well, let me just tell you what I will do is I'll bring your message to them. I expect we'll have a pretty robust discussion about it here right after I leave here. You know, the idea of earmarks in and of themselves, you know, I get it. I mean, you're going to appropriate one way or the other. But I think that there's just a natural tendency, even with just a few $1 billion, there's a tendency for that to lead down a bad path. And so, but we'll see. We're going to get them. I mean, House Republicans and House Democrats have already signed on. Senate Democrats have already signed on. So the last man standing is the House or the Senate Republican Conference.
I know. I'm depending on you for earmarks. I'm depending on you for taxes. I'm depending on you for a lot of things. Senator Kevin Cramer, great stuff. Really appreciate your time, sir.
My pleasure. Thanks, Larry.
All right.